Hello everyone, and welcome back to what I'm sure everyone was simply starving for. Of my 4 subscribers, I'm sure that it was highly anticipated by just oh so many people. But regardless of that, we are in fact back to Angels with Scaly Wings. I finally found some more time to record this, and honestly, it's been paining me that it has taken me so long because I've wanted to know what happens next. I'm sure as much as my 4 subscribers have anticipated it, because I did happen to leave both episodes on quite the cliffhanger, which is honestly, just how it should work, in my opinion. So, we are going to get back into this right now, and I did actually receive a very helpful tip from one of my viewers, to actually be checking the status menu, which, thinking about it now, I actually did check before I recorded this game, and then immediately seemed to have forgotten about. So I think we're going to start this episode by checking on that, just to see what it says right now. Yeah, right here. Yeah, it tells us what we already know, but then it also tells us that we're actually in good standings with everyone except Remy, because I never talked to him, as you can see. And these are apparently this chapter's cards, not that I know what that means. I'm also not sure what these necessarily are, but I assume they have something to do with things I've done, since I seem to vaguely remember seeing these symbols somewhere. And yes, thank you again to the person who mentioned that. I will be trying to check back on this, but we've seen just how effective my brain is at remembering that so far. But without a further ado, we have just come back from having a very, very long expedition dump from the administrator. And I seem to have just remembered that I actually had some grievances with his arguments a few hours ago and have since forgotten them. So, rather than try to remember them, I am simply going to continue. And after I got back, I decided that I had just had nothing left to do. It's not urgent to do anything, I suppose. We do have like a week. There's not much we can do to stop the comet before then, so let's go to sleep, I guess. I guess I literally just made us wait here to go to sleep, because that's the most climactic thing in the world. Seems like there's nothing for me to do this morning. I guess they don't meet me at the police department. Not that I mind. I definitely don't mind, because there's someone I very much want to check in on. Uh... You might remember my horrible avoidance of names last episode, and I definitely am not waiting any longer. We're doing it. There is no contest. Here we are again. Again, indeed. Oh, gee. Okay, she's here. Okay, all of my worries last episode were for naught. I am incredibly glad about that. Okay. My heart's racing now. I've been stressed about that since I recorded that a few days ago. Okay, let's not stall this out anymore. Just a minute. That was not the voice, was it? I'm gonna need a second, aren't I? Okay. I hope I didn't forget anything. You said something about going to the beach. Yep. Oh, guess who got her entry confirmation for the stunt flying competition? Oh, very good. Is it me? Don't be silly, Ink. I've got it right here in black and white. We are happy to confirm your entry into the annual stunt flying competition. Please have your competitor number ready and show up at the organizators. I don't feel like that's a proper word. Organizators booth at the summer festival by... Well, who cares about the rest? I'm in. That's great. Yeah, but the festival's pretty soon. I have to make the most of the time until then to get my skills up to par. I thought you already had years of experience. Yeah, but now I have to practice the best routine I possibly can come up with. Not to mention making sure I can execute it flawlessly when the time comes. Practicing in general is very different than practicing for an event like this one. I see. Are you ready to see some stunt flying? Sure. Let's go then. Oh, that's beautiful. If I had a house there, I would, like, never stop staring out the window. Actually, I can guarantee I would. I get bored very easily with staring at things, as you might expect. So, this is where I usually practice? I practice just about anywhere, but today's a nice day for a beach visit. Water and sand are also good surfaces to practice complicated maneuvers on, in case you can't make the landing. Makes sense. Well, don't let me hold you up. There was just a siren outside. That probably didn't get picked up, but it was there. Oh, I can't just start practicing right now. I'm still giddy with excitement from getting that letter earlier. Besides, I wanted to hang out with you while you're here as well. Sounds good to me. Do you visit the beach often? Not really, except for practice, that is. It does make for a nice backdrop while I fly, though. I see. I think I still have the voice. I don't think I've completely lost it. Do you ever go to the beach? No, it's not something that was possible for me the last couple of years, but it certainly used to be something other people would do. I see. Sunning yourself can be nice sometimes, but I'm not really a fan of going swimming. There is so much more you can do at the beach, though. Like what? You already mentioned sunning. Do you ever get a tan? What's that? I guess that's a no then. Yeah, scales don't tan, do they? To be fair, you're completely covered. Yeah, so I wouldn't imagine you'd be affected. Tanning is a reaction of the skin when it's exposed to sunlight. If humans stay in the sun for a while, our skin can get darker. How strange. And if we're exposed for too long, we can even get what's called a sunburn. And what's that? Well, the skin can take on a reddish tint and it can also be painful and cause dizziness. So you have to be extra careful not to stay in the sun for too long? Pretty much, though that isn't necessarily true for all of us. Pretty much, though that isn't necessary... Pretty much, though that isn't necessarily true for all of us. Depending on the skin tone, people can be more or less affected by the radiation. I see, that sounds kinda complicated. Does that mean we shouldn't stay here for too long? I mean, I generally don't worry about it, to be fair. But I guess, yeah, I'll just have to be careful, really. I see, just let me know if I need to do anything. Sure, will do. You said you don't like swimming all that much. Why is that? Well, as you can imagine, I prefer the air to the sea, even though we flyers have quite a relationship with the water. What kind of relationship are we talking about? We use it to hunt. I see. So you go fishing, but can't swim all that well. Pretty much. We can do enough to safely hunt and paddle on the surface, but that's about it. If we actually want to go swimming, it's recommended we wear a life vest. Is that bad? That wasn't what that said, but we're going with it. Our wings are made for flying, not for swimming. The movements and musculature are rather different. With some training we can learn to swim better, but it still wouldn't really be effective. I see. And besides, who would choose to learn to swim if we already have the air to ourselves? Flying is just your thing, I guess. Pretty much. You made it sound as if beaches are a pretty important thing for humans. I wouldn't say important. Rather, it's a quite unique way for people to spend time. It was often done as a leisure activity or a way to spend holiday vacations. That sounds pretty important to me. What else did you do at the beach? Let me think. I got an idea and started looking for something in the sand on the ground. With a bit of digging, I found a flat, smooth stone and showed it to her. Do you have any idea what I'm going to do with this? Not really. Let me show you something. I went to the edge of the water, followed closely by Adine. Now, watch this. I extended my arm with the best technique I could muster before I threw the stone towards the water. I figured we were skipping rocks. Spinning in the air, the stone bounced on the water's surface a few times before it sunk into the sea. What was that? Stone skipping. Never heard of it? No, how'd you do that? I can show you. I looked around for another suitable stone and soon found one near the edge of the water. Let's start with the stone. Ideally, you want one that has a big surface area but is as flat as possible. Got it. This one's also really smooth, which helps... This one's also really smooth, which helps too. Sometimes I go to the next dialogue before I even finish the sentence, and I regret it. Okay, so we need smooth, flat stones. Now, the technique is also pretty important. I'm not sure how well this will translate to your anatomy, but I'll just show you how I do it, and then we can figure out what you can do. Okay. Hold the stone like this, extend your arm and curl it like this. Then you have to throw it in such a way that it stays relatively stable in the air, but spins as fast as you can make it. I do it like this. I threw the stone, once again showing her how it subsequently bounced a few times over the water's surface before it sunk into the sea. I'm not sure if I can do that. We'll see, maybe we can figure something out. Let's look for a stone first. Okay. We both started looking for another appropriate stone. I saw Adine scratching around the sand with one of her feet. She crouched down to pick something up before she returned to me. Here, what about this one? That should work. See, you've already got that part down. Guess so. Okay, now for the technique. She was holding the stone in the claws at the edge of her wing. I tried to guide her by pulling her wing back like I would an arm, but it became clear that it lacked a lot of maneuverability an arm would have. For the throw, you'll want to move your wing forward as fast as you can, and at the very end of the extension, let go of the stone. I'll try. I could see her moving her wing awkwardly. She pushed it forward before releasing the stone, which sunk without bouncing a single time. That didn't work. Yeah, there wasn't really enough spin on it. Let me try again. Alright. I waded a few steps into the water to retrieve the stone she'd thrown only moments ago. Here you go. I'll try something different this time. Feel free. Instead of using her wing, she took the stone into dexterous claws on one of her feet as she continued to stand on the other leg. Effortlessly, she pulled her leg back before rapidly moving it forward and releasing the stone. It flew in a bit of an upward arch before it bounced off the water's surface once and subsequently sunk into the ocean's waters. Nice! Not bad, huh? I had no idea you could do that with your leg. Actually, our legs are what we mainly use to grab things. It only gets complicated if I'm supposed to be moving at the same time, like when I'm waiting in the cafe. Interesting. I suppose for someone who's hunting while flying, that's pretty much a requirement. It is. Actually, if I'm at home and eating chips or something, I usually use my feet as well. I don't necessarily actually wish. That would... I guess for us, that'd be way more disgusting. I mean, I guess technically it's just as unhygienic. It's just not probably as much of an issue for dragons. It does sound kind of funny, though. It probably isn't even half as funny as you're picturing it. That was a neat trick, though, so what else can you do at the beach? I don't know, build sandcastles? I haven't done that in like 2 decades. I tried to imagine what Adine building a sandcastle would look like. Based on what I knew now, she probably wouldn't be using her wings. Would you believe me if I told you we used to have contests for building sandcastles back home? Really? Yeah, people would build huge detailed sculptures that would be taller than both of us, just with sand. Oh wow, that sounds hard though. No, it's definitely difficult. I can't make a sandcastle. Not that I've tried recently, but I've never made a sandcastle that's more than like a foot tall. Sand is not a very solid building surface. It is rather difficult. To me, it seems a bit of a shame to build big, elaborate sculptures out of something like sand that clearly won't last. I mean, if you're gonna spend so much time on it, why not create something that'll stay? That's pretty much the point, yeah. Oh, really? Yes, people demonstrate their skill in creating these sculptures, and by using something like sand, they prove that it doesn't matter if the sculpture gets destroyed in the end, because they can just do it again if they like. I see, that's pretty interesting. Actually, it's not unlike your stunt flying competition. How so? Well, during your competition, nothing lasting is created from the performance itself. It's all about the experience and memories. You have to prove that you're skilled enough to do those stunts right at that very moment, just for the competition. That's a good point. I'm in the mood for a snack. Should I get something for you as well? I mean, probably? Probably won't be that bad. Alright. You can watch me if you like. Maybe you can learn a thing or two from it. You want to teach me how to fish? Sure, since you taught me the... what was it called again? Stone skipping. Right, since you taught me the stone skipping, I can show you how to fish. Okay. We actually have 2 very different ways of doing it. There's hunting and angling. Personally, I prefer hunting, though. I can see why. Let me demonstrate. She took a few steps back, then started running towards the edge of the sea. Rapidly flapping her wings, she jumped into the air at the last second, taking off and flying around the area. I could see her staring at the sea intently, circling a few times before descending towards the water's surface, claws extended. When she got close enough, her claws suddenly sunk into the water, only to reappear with a fish in their grasp. Afterwards, she returned and landed near me. Did you see that? Yeah, but I think my distinct lack of wings would probably prevent me from doing the same thing. You don't have to do exactly the same thing. In the end, I'm just grabbing them right out of the sea. You could do that. I'm not so sure about that. I bet it's a lot easier with your claws. Fish can be pretty slippery. I guess you have a point. Well, there's still the other method. Angling. Yep, angling. See my tail? She showed me her tail. At its end, there was a fork in it. With its distinct shape, size, and color, it reminded me a lot of a banana. What about it? This is the bait. She sat down near the edge of the water, letting her tail hang down from it. This can take a while sometimes, but there are techniques which can speed up the process. The right amount of movement attracts different kinds of fish. That way, we can even choose what we're going to get. And that works? Yeah, not all the time, but often enough. Interesting. There are even groups that exchange tips for angling in this way. Suddenly, I saw her whip her tail upwards, which caused a fish to be launched towards the beach, where it landed on the ground with an audible thud. There you go. That didn't take too long. It can be very hit and miss. I just got lucky this time, and it's not even the kind of fish I really wanted. I guess that's why you prefer hunting. Yep, and you also don't get the nibble scars on your tail where the fish bite you. I see. Yeah, that would be a little bit painful, wouldn't it? Yeah, no, a lot of fish are not the most pleasant things to be bitten by. A lot of them also can't do anything, but you're risking a lot, aren't you? Though I suppose angling is also going to be hard for you without a forked tail like we have. Actually, we have fishing rods for that where I come from. What's that? The principle is very similar. Basically, it's a long stick that we hold over the water. A line connected to it has a bait and a hook at the end to catch the fish. When the fish bites the hook, we can reel in the line to get the fish to us. And you're using a tool to do a very similar thing. Basically, yes. Sometimes we also fish using nets. Oh, some of us do that as well. Not my kind, but usually it's those who either work for a fishing company or sell seafood on the market. I imagine someone like you doesn't have to buy their fish on the market, though. True, but sometimes it's easier to just get them there to get what I want to. That was a tongue twister. Instead of coming all the way here. I see. Speaking of which, let me get a few more for later. Feel free. Once more, Adine took to the sky to hunt for fish. While it was interesting to watch her for a bit, she kept hunting for a while, and I started passing the time by collecting some seashells. Phew, that should last me for a while. Oh, what are those? Seashells? It's meant to be a tongue twister, and I always mess it up if I say it too fast. I mean, I was bored, but, let's be nice. For me? What for? Well, you could decorate your apartment with them or something. I see. Maybe I should ask you to clarify this, but does this have any particular significance for humans? Not really, it's just a gift. Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Ink. All that hunting was a good warm-up. I feel about ready to start with the practice now. Go ahead, I'll watch from here. Actually, now that I'll be a part of an official competition, I need a fancy stage name. Do you have something in mind? Not really. Have you got any ideas? Oh no. A custom name. Oh dear. Freefall, Lightning, Neo-Wing, Angel, Stormhawk. Angel is obviously very reminiscent of the game's name, which I feel like is kind of obvious and low effort on my part. Stormhawk? I mean, I'd think it'd be pretty accurate, but I mean... I'm trying to think, like... Yeah, no, she didn't particularly enjoy flying this storm, but I mean, still a very good name. Lightning is so horribly cliched. It's fast, it's flashy, perfect for a stunt flyer. Freefall, that could be actually decent. Like, it almost implies that you're just kind of falling, not flying, but I mean, it's not that bad. And Neo-Wing is just like, I don't know. I don't actually, know the connotation of Neo. Like, I kind of know it has a lot to do with, hyper-modern or, futuristic stuff. The one thing that comes to mind is, Neo-Tokyo. I don't even remember where I heard that, but it was, a really futuristic, teched-up version of Tokyo, basically. So, I don't necessarily know about that. I mean, I'd really have to think for a custom name. I do sometimes enjoy trying to come up with a name that really well relates to a character, which would fit really well in this scenario. But I don't really know, Adine's a weird name to work with. I suppose... This is gonna take a minute, isn't it? If I even try to come up with something. I mean, maybe if... I'm just gonna go over reasons I don't like some of the other names. Maybe that'll jar something. Stormhawk is kind of just it's really, really overly flashy, if you ask me. She is looking for a fancy stage name, but that does not mean flashy. That's like saying that you want, a nice necklace, but then you just literally make it so heavy with all the gold and diamonds or whatever that you, like, can't wear it. Angel, like I said, is just pointing way too... Well, actually, I mean, it is a bit cliched with the game's title, but it almost fits. Like, frighteningly well, actually, the more I'm thinking about it. So that's in strong contention. Neo Wing, I feel like it's kind of clunky, the name itself, and it might not even have proper connotations, so that's not really something for me. Lightning, like I said, really, really cliched. Freefall, also somewhat in contention, just because in my head, that's also able to refer to, like, you're not afraid to be in freefall because you know you can come out of it, you know what to do with it, you can use that to your advantage rather than it being a detriment. But that also would sound a little bit silly, I think. So I'm just gonna sit and think about what a custom name might be, and if I don't have anything in a minute, I'm just probably gonna go with Angel. Okay, yeah, I've got nothing. We're going with Angel. My brain is... Well, no, I think my brain's fine. I just think I can't work with Adine's name very well in this case. So, Angel it is. Oh, why didn't I think of that? Ever since I knew about the contest, I've been thinking of this name. What a crazy coincidence. Do you mind if I go with that? Not at all. I mean, you were asking me for suggestions, why would I mind? Angel it is then. Alright, are you ready to see some aerobatics? I mean, technically the same thing, just in the air, but still gotta be precise. I certainly hope so. I'll start off with a few easy moves. The stage is yours, Angel. Thanks. Effortlessly, she took to the sky, circling around the area a few times before she started to do a few maneuvers. Thankfully, she was gone before she heard me completely mess up a very simple word. Oh, that's... Okay, I was, for some reason, imagining something very different with the end of her tail. I was thinking that, for some reason, with, like, the fork tail, I was thinking of, like, a tuning fork. And, like, I kind of just almost disregarded the fact it was supposed to look like a banana, which is silly, but, you know, we can leave that behind us, because now I do know what it looks like. A roll followed by a loop, after which she did another roll. It seemed to be less of a practice routine and more of a warm-up to me. Gradually, her maneuvers got more complicated. I saw circles that got smaller and smaller, a brief nosedive, and multiple loops and rolls after another. Then, she landed and returned to me. What do you think? That was great. You haven't even seen the best part yet. What would that be? My very own Adine special, or rather, Angel special. It's a routine I came up with and have been practicing for a while. It's pretty difficult, so I'll probably spend the rest of my time until the competition perfecting it as much as possible. What does it look like? It starts off with circles near the ground. Then, as I ascend, the circles get smaller and smaller. Once I reach the highest point, I go into a nosedive through the middle of the circles. At the show, I'll use a smoke trail when I'm doing the circles, so everyone can actually see me going through the circles I made. And that sounds pretty cool. Smoke trail. I forget if Adine has fire or not. I think she does? I think she has one of the smaller ones. I don't remember, though. But, if she doesn't, I wonder how exactly that'll work. And I mean, fire doesn't just create smoke, so I don't think that would actually work. That was just a neat idea. That'd actually be a really good thing for stunt flyers, wouldn't it? If they could, like, make some kind of a trail with their own breath, depending on what it was. That sounds pretty cool. Did I already say it? Probably. That's not all of it. While nosediving, I'll do a few rolls, and just before I hit the ground, I'll pull up again. Lastly, I'll end with a few loops and go to the next maneuver. It all ends up making a neat shape in the sky with the smoke trails. Sounds like you've got it all figured out already. Oh, and something I actually forgot to say. What do they have for smoke trails, then? I imagine it's probably just something they, like, wear on their neck or their back or something, like a backpack maybe, but, you know, I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see later. Yeah, now I only have to perfect my execution of it. Don't let me hold you up. Alright, here we go. With determination in her eyes, she took to the skies once more. When she reached a certain height, she slowly descended again until she was close to the water's surface. Then, she started making her circles, slowly ascending as the circles gradually got smaller and smaller. Once her circles became as small as possible, she suddenly turned herself around and went into a nosedive. Her speed quickly increased while she moved towards the water. Then, she did a roll and another, followed by the third. Dangerously close to the water's surface, she suddenly pulled up. But as she did so, one of her feet went below the surface, where it apparently had caught onto something, causing her to spin out of control. I saw her feeble attempt to regain control as she barely managed to steady herself enough to get back onto the beach. She made a rough landing, rolling on the ground a few times after colliding with the sand. This is why you do it on the beach, and also why you don't, because you can catch your feet underwater, apparently. But then you can also land in the water, and or sand. Definitely the and here, rather roughly. Adine, are you alright? Well, that wasn't supposed to happen, really. It looked pretty impressive up until the landing. Ouch, my wing hurts. Let me take a look. Can you move it? A bit, but it really starts to hurt if I go further than this. At least it doesn't seem to be broken. Yeah, I guess it's a sprain. Happens all the time. Really? Well, not all the time, but it happens. What about the competition? The injury is going to put a serious damper on my practice schedule, but I'm not giving up anytime soon. I guess practice is over for today at the very least. Yeah, let's head back. Well, that's great, huh? That's incredibly disappointing. That really sucks. I should have some bandages in the cabinet over there. I'll get them for you. What now? Would you do me the honors? Of course, where should I start? I think it's this joint right here. What, your mouth? Yep, definitely. Okay, let me try to get this right. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Here, that should do it. How does it feel? Much better. Maybe with this I could even start practicing again in a day or two. Just be safe. Of course. Well, thanks for helping me with the bandage, and sorry about cutting practice short today. I guess you didn't get to see any proper aerobatics after all. It's no big deal. Your health is more important, and I did. I got to see some proper aerobatics. You just happened to crash right after you finished them. Are you going to come to the show? If I can, sure. Oh, right. You might be busy. I'll have to see if I can make it. I'd love to be at the show, though. I'll contact you later with all the details, and we can figure it out from there. Sounds good. I'll see you next time, then. See you. Well, that was fun. I enjoyed that. New scenery. New sprites, actually. Would you call them sprites? New character images, at least. With her goggles on. Not seen that yet. I've got some messages. Let's see. Oh, that was piercing. Hey, are you coming to see the show? It's going to happen pretty soon, you know. I trained so much for this, you wouldn't believe. Probably harder than I ever trained in my entire life. I really hope you can make it, because I wanted to show you all I've got. Wait. Oh, this must be like a few days later, probably then. Because that would have been a very abrupt, like, change of plans. Another free day. Yay me. Before I do that, because I did remember, I'm going to check on the status. See what's happening. Impressed. Okay, we've changed. We've gone up in standings. What I was about to say something else, and I already can't remember what I was about to say. Okay, I'm happy with that. Very nice. Okay. So if it has been a few days, then you know, why do I need to explain it? I just want to see Adine again. I really do. See if she's better. Oh, okay. Oh, she's coming over here. That was not clear. That must be her. Hey, Ink. Hey, Adine. Are you ready to go? Sure am. Can't wait to see everything the festival has to offer. Oh, I'm sorry if it came across that way, but I don't think we'll actually have much time to partake in the festivities. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll have to spend most of my time at the competition grounds. We'll arrive there early so I can check in and do my warm-up, and I'll still have to stick around after my performance to wait for the awards ceremony. Well, I guess you don't have to wait with me. You could see the rest of the festival if you wanted to. That's out of the question. I'm here to spend time with you. The festival is not that important. This is some very uplifting music. I haven't heard this one yet. Or maybe I have, and I'm just really brain dead. Besides, we can always see everything on one of the other festival days. True. Yeah, if there's multiple days at the festival, why are we necessarily worried about missing a day? We could even watch the big fireworks show at the end. Yeah, I've heard about that. Everyone keeps telling me how important it is for me to see. It's not that important, but if you have the opportunity, you should really go. I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend, but I'd gladly accompany you if I have the chance. Sure. So today's agenda is emotional support, and next time we can take in all aspects of the festival. Sound good? Perfect. So it definitely has been a few days if the festival is happening now all of a sudden. Alright, let's go then. So I guess nothing too important about the Reza investigation has happened, if I didn't get to see any of the interluding days. It took a while for us to arrive at the festival, which had already begun by this point. The last of the booths that lined the way were still being set up, but dragons of... Oops, I accidentally skipped that, hold on. Oh, because I had to do the transition again. It took a while for us to arrive at the festival, which had already begun at this point. The last of the booths that lined the way were still being set up, but dragons of all shapes and sizes were already pouring in. Instead of walking directly through the festival, we stayed outside the established paths, heading towards the stage where the competition is going to be held. Yeah, I do that too. If I'm not looking to look around at booths and whatnot, I will skirt as far away from them as I can. Avoid all of the other people. Eventually, we arrived at a rather large open-air area near the facility that had been roped off. At one corner of the building, a few flyers had already gathered. Maybe you should wait here while I get my number. Why? People might get the wrong idea if you show up in the registration line. People think I'm gonna somehow participate. That'd be kind of hilarious, actually. Besides, they'd certainly stare and start asking a lot of questions. All kinds of questions, in fact. A lot and all kinds, I'm sure. Alright, I'll just stay here then. I'll be right back. After Adine had waddled off to the other flyers, I surveyed my surroundings idly. Beyond the big open-air area, seating had been provided, and I could already see a few people waiting for the competition to start. A few had even gathered on the roof of the building to watch from there. I guess it's part of the roof that's out of frame, because I don't see any. Ha, aren't I funny? Nagging for the backgrounds. I'm back. Is that your number? She held up a piece of cloth with a large number printed on it. A few straps were hanging from it. What, this? No, of course not. This is Angel's number. Good one. Of course. Sorry for the mistake. I'm one of the last to start, actually. Are we late? No, I guess the others just arrived earlier to have more time to get ready. What do you think about the other competitors? I've seen most of them fly before. Some are really, really good. It doesn't seem like there are many newcomers here, so right now I'm the odd one out. Maybe you could use that to your advantage. Yeah, just, if they think they don't have much to go against, you know, they are only going off of the other flyers, that could actually be really good. How so? Well, you know more about them than they do about you. Having a promising newcomer there might throw them off their game. Yeah, pretty much what I said. I'm not so sure about that. After all, it's not as if any of our already choreographed performances would change based on what others do now. Each of us just tries to do their best. Most of them are seasoned flyers, so they already know how to deal with that kind of pressure. If anything, I'm the one who might get nervous and mess up. You won't get nervous. You're fine. I do have one advantage, though. I'm still pretty young, and this is a sport with a great amount of wear and tear. That's also a very good point. There comes a certain point in time when you just can't perform as well anymore as you used to. Many complicated maneuvers can only be performed by younger athletes. The older ones can make up for it by using their experience, and with better execution of easier moves. In the end, a daring newcomer like me could surprise the audience and the judges with something new and unexpected, which is exactly what I plan to do. How good do you think your chances are? With a bit of luck, I might even be able to win. This is just a local competition, after all. But you know what? Just being here right now and performing in front of so many people is a win for me. People will know me, and I'll probably get a mention somewhere in the local paper. If you don't win, at least you'll be mentioned. That's all you can really hope for in life, can't it? Can't you? I've trained for years. My application to compete finally got accepted. Now I just have to make the most of it, and I'll be happy. I still can hardly believe that I'm here. This is the moment I've worked so hard for. And I'll be watching you. Oh, stop it. You're making me nervous. Sorry. Can you help me with this? She spread out her wing, and only then did I notice that her shoulder joint was tightly bandaged. What's that for? It's just a training bandage to stabilize my shoulder after that little blunder you witnessed last time. We can't fly with these in the competition, though, so I'll have to take it off. Okay. I'm slightly worried about that. I'm rather worried she's gonna end up injuring herself. I opened the bandage and carefully unwrapping her wing. There you go. Thanks. She spread both of her wings, beating them a few times. I couldn't help noticing that the previously bandaged wing was sagging noticeably compared to its counterpart, as if it were misaligned. Oh, she didn't let it heal, did she? Just called her an it, that's good. Oh, I really don't want her to make a fool of herself in this competition if she... I'll bring it up if I get the chance. She seemed to be examining her shoulder, somewhat lost in thought when I spoke up. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, of course, why wouldn't I? I can see you're straining without the bandage. I'm fine, really, don't worry about it. If you're fine without the bandage, how come you're wearing it up to just now? Did you need it for practice too? If you couldn't practice without it, maybe you aren't ready to compete without it yet. Since when are you suddenly an expert on flying? I'm the one who's been doing this for years, not you. This is my dream we're talking about. Do you want them to see you in this condition and judge you based on that, rather than when you're at your best? I just have to try, you know? What if something goes wrong, though? You don't want to be in that position. If I start making excuses now, maybe I'll never stop. I'll always be too nervous or too injured, or I didn't eat right the day before. I feel bad enough as it is. Right now I have the chance to do this, and if I don't take it, maybe I never will. I'll always just be a server and delivery girl making minimum wage. I ruined up that line that was supposed to be really well delivered. Ah, that felt great. Is this one chance really too much to ask for? No, but it doesn't have to be right now. There will always be another year. They've never seen you compete before. If you fly now, they'll judge you based on this performance. You only have one chance at making a first impression, and you know it won't be your best if you fly right now. If it's not good enough, maybe they won't invite you again next year. If you fly now, they won't accept any excuses. But if you tell them you're injured, they might let you fly another time. But I don't want to wait another year. I want to do it now. I trained so much, even with this injury, and you tell me I should just let it go? I just can't help thinking about last time. If you crash like that again, there's no sand here to cushion your fall. It could be much worse. You don't think I know that? That I'm not already worrying about this more than I ever have for anything else? I just don't want to make excuses anymore. I don't want to wonder if I'll ever amount to anything more than a waitress. I want to be able to follow my dream, and I don't want to wait another year to find out. What about Emily? If something happened to you, how do you think they would explain to her that you just suddenly stopped showing up, huh? Don't you dare bring her into this. She has nothing to do with it. Like it or not, what you're doing could have consequences, and there are others besides you who will be affected if something goes wrong. You know what? I will fly, and I'll do the best damn job I've ever done, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. Okay, I was worried about this. The way I was going on about this, I had a feeling that would end up happening. She's really adamant about doing it now. And I understand that. I can completely understand not wanting to put it off because you'll never be ready to do it again. I've been in that situation before, and I was really, really not wanting to be talked out of it. So I was worried about this happening. Before I could reply, she angrily stomped off towards the building, where by now a number of contestants had arrived. And now, you see, at this point in the game, I'm really worried something is going to happen, and there was something I had to do earlier to stop it, as normally ends up happening with these types of games. All I can hope is she's not, like, crippled, or, you know, dies. I've had enough death already, thank you. While I had failed to convince her, at least I could say that I tried my hardest to stop her. I asked myself whether I even wanted to watch the competition at that point. It was way... Why did I think there was another word there that I had missed the first time? Okay, we're gonna ignore that. It was possible that she'd do even better than expected, but if my experience is any indication, her performance would not turn out well. In the end, I decided to stay and watch from the sidelines. I didn't want to join the rest of the audience, as I was sure it would get me unwanted attention. Yeah, fair enough, human in the middle of a bunch of dragons. Especially with news of Reza and everything, I would not be surprised if something happened. I don't know what, but something. After the competition started, I lost myself in thought, thinking over the conversation I had with Adine while watching the other contestants half-heartedly. Just thinking about I would be thinking about all the things I could have said better. Adine had been right. Some of them were really good. Some of them really were very good. Yeah, okay, no, that does make more sense than I thought originally. But based on what I had seen at her practice session, she did have a shot at winning if everything went well for her. Which one of the chances of that, right? But no, I'm hopeful. Even though my rational mind doubted that would happen, for her own sake I hoped it would. Exactly my feelings. One by one, the contestants showed off their skills in a variety of moves, usually followed by the applause of the audience. Eventually, it was time for Adine's turn. I would hope so. I would very much hope so that eventually, in fact, one of the competitors had their chance. Next on the stage is number 11, a promising newcomer who will show her skills to the public here for the very first time in her debut performance. Please welcome Angel. I could have flared that a lot more, but I don't like to yell. There was an excited bout of clapping. The audience was always curious to see a newcomer on the stage. Now let's hope she won't completely flop. However, after a few seconds passed, Adine still hadn't emerged. Oh, did she have second thoughts? Please tell me she had second thoughts. It would be kind of embarrassing, but not nearly as embarrassing or, you know, potentially fatal as crashing into the ground. An awkward silence set in as the audience's applause stopped and everyone sat anxiously, waiting for her to show up. She never did. After half a minute or so had passed, the announcer's voice once more echoed across the area. My apologies, it looks like number 11 will not be flying today. Next up is number 12, a certain veteran you may know for a somewhat unusual technique. Before I could even ask myself what happened, I saw Adine walking out of the building and coming towards me. Adine, what did you do? Let's just go somewhere else. Okay.